I remember going to the cinema. I went to the cinema.
Wow.
That's sick.
With friends. It was amazing until that episode came out and no one said a word.
G'day and welcome to a brand new episode of Who to Be Buried With. Now this podcast, it's based off of Brett Goldstein's podcast, Films to Be Buried With. And here we bring on members from the Doctor Who community. We tell them they've died and that the people of Doctor Who heaven want to get to know them through the episodes that mean the most to them. Now this episode is an absolute cracker. Our guest here is dwfan91. I'm sure you've heard of them. They've popped up quick. They're doing amazing things out there and just a genuine kind soul, really funny soul. Got great stories. We have a good laugh. This will be the last episode of Who to Be Buried With for this year. We've got a couple more coming out early next year. But enough about us. Let's get into what is a bloody amazing episode. You want to stick around to the end. It's worth it for the gag. It really, really is.
50% podcast.
Friends, we are joined by a fantastic guest today. Incredible. One of the best.
I'm very excited.
How excited out of 10?
11. It's a classic gag.
That is a classic lame gag.
I'm actually very excited about this because, they commented on our latest episode with Josh Snares and Crispy Pro. I didn't know they were watching our stuff. I watched their stuff for a while. So, yeah, it's very exciting.
Well, let's say who it is, shall we? Welcome to the show. It's DWFan91.
Hey.
Amazing.
Hello, everyone.
Amazing.
What's up, everybody? I said the thing, everyone. It's an honor to be here. I've been watching this show for a long time, since the 60th anniversary.
Wow.
And it's just been amazing. I've been a big fan. So I'm happy to be here and I'm honored.
That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yeah, we love
Thank
your
you so
stuff,
much for
mate.
coming on.
You're doing really cool. Like, I feel like there's only a couple of people that have really mastered like video essays and things like that in the Who community.
Yeah, particularly with Doctor Who videos.
Yeah. And like, you're one of the goats up there. And I feel like you sprung up out of nowhere.
Let's go.
Yeah, I remember seeing yourself.
I kind of did. It just sort of happened.
So how did you do that? We need to know.
Yeah, what's the secret?
I had a massive strategy. I manipulated the algorithm. Now, what I basically did was I just uploaded videos of me just yapping away, and then people seemed to like them. My first big hit was my third video, which was talking about the Weeping Angels. You can look back on my channel. It got like 100,000 views, and that was just like insane.
That's hectic,
right? I think people just really want to talk about horror with Doctor Who, you know. It's always the big meme, you know, hiding behind the sofas, but it's true. I think that genuinely has the biggest, like, broad appeal of the show. So obviously you can talk about the more niche stuff, but people get really intrigued when they see the picture of the Weeping Angel, the picture of my latest video was about the flood. Like, people really gravitate towards that stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just great fun to talk about.
Yeah.
So was this, did you do any other YouTube channels before, or was this your first one?
This is my first ever YouTube channel. I've been in the community. I've gone through forums since like a long time, but I just started a YouTube channel because I kind of wanted to talk to more people, because, you know, as you move around, sometimes you don't get to talk with people as much, and I've found a great community.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
it's awesome, mate. We love watching your stuff, and yeah, you're a goat.
Oh,
Can I ask?
Let's go.
Can I ask two questions? So number one, is there a reason why you don't show your face? And like number two, what's the story behind the iconic? Because I think it's very eye-catching. Because the first time I ever saw your video, I was like, why doesn't this guy have like a profile picture? But I think that's very smart and clever, because it
is eye-catching.
It's like it's like the no profile picture is actually more eye-catching than a profile picture. Like, what's the story behind that?
So mysterious. I love it.
Yeah, the mysterious. Yeah.
So to answer both your questions, the reason I don't reveal my face is because I am shockingly ugly. But the reason I went with the profile picture was actually it's a tactical maneuver, you know, the tactical default profile picture. Because I'm sure you guys know this, but that isn't actually the current default profile picture. That is the OG. That is the original profile picture. Which means that I genuinely, intentionally had to change it to that, because that isn't the default YouTube profile picture is just a D, right, for my channel. Yeah. It would just be a D in Arial font on probably a brown background. Not very eye-catching, but the original default profile picture because everyone is aware of it, but no one uses it anymore. It's just got that,
Yeah.
you know, that iconic feature to it. And also it kind of fits because I'm not very good at making videos. So it kind of fits, you know, with the, how do I say this, brand of me being a newbie who doesn't really know what I'm doing. And it's not like it's kind of like the anti-clickbait, you know what I mean? Like people click it and they know that they're not getting a super highly produced video made by a company or whatever. It's all made by me on my laptop.
That's awesome.
One guy.
Love that.
And I just like it. I mean, it's kind of a band-aid on the fact that I don't know how to even make a profile picture. But I like it and it's stuck.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool.
Well, you did upload it. I guess you did upload a profile picture there because you did change it. So
yeah.
I
you
did.
have uploaded a profile picture. So.
Default profile picture.
Default.
That's why a lot of people think my name is Jeremy Ward because on the image it says Jeremy Ward. That's just what it says if you look it up on Google. Right? So
crazy.
I see.
My name is not Jeremy Ward. People.
It's a big secret, you know.
So you can
have you ever like put a nickname out into the void, or do you just get called dwfan91?
People on my Discord call me Daniel, and I don't know why. I don't know why. They just do.
It's just stuck, you know.
It's because it's an easier name.
Yeah,
you know?
sure. We'll just call you 91.
Yeah, 91. When we would on my Discord server, I have a members Discord server. There's about like 60 people in there now, but originally there was about 15 to 20, and we used to do watch-alongs, right? Like watch episodes, do stuff, just getting cool occasionally. Right. And what happened is I was really good at it originally, but then, you know, as time went on, I like couldn't make the time because of time zones and all that, right? When they would watch it, it would be like 3 a.m. for me. And they just started coming up with like all this lore. And so now everyone calls me Daniel on the Discord server. So that just is what I wasn't even there for when it started.
I love it.
You're in Discord as well. That's awesome.
That is bloody amazing. How are you feeling? I know you've sort of done a video that kind of touched on this lately, but how are you feeling at the moment with Doctor Who? That's the big question we always like to ask, because I feel like it's always a crazy time being a Doctor Who fan.
Course, yeah.
I mean, the thing is, right, so I recently got on Twitter, you know, God bless myself. And what I quickly realized is that I thought I was very cynical about the show. I'm not. I'm like a beacon of shining positivity. Because Twitter is basically just a competition to see who can be the most cynical.
It's horrible.
Like, everyone's trying to be the most cynical at as much as possible. You know, you'll see people and they'll read into things in the worst possible way. And it's like they're intentionally trying to take out all impossible enjoyment that they can have for the show. Series 14, I have like a lot of criticisms for. I laid them out in my video, but none of them are really to do with the episodes themselves. I really enjoyed the episodes. I really like basically all of them, apart from, I mean, I suppose my least favorite by default would be Empire of Death. But, you know, the season overall I would say is great. I just think they've done a few like fumbles, you know what I mean? Mishandling stuff in a few key details that matter.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just really want there to be a series 3. And I think that the quality's there. And I think they're doing a few very silly things which they could easily fix that could lead to the show being successful, because all I want is the show to be successful. I love Doctor Who. I love this new Doctor Who. And I think overall, though, I am more positive, even though my latest video is about 30 hours of me, you know, whinging, moaning, crying, whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Doctor Who, and I did really enjoy Series 14.
Yeah, it's just like, I think we always say, it's just like the bad taste in your mouth at the end, because the first half of the season, we were saying like, this could be the best one ever, you know, with Boom, 73 yards.
Yeah,
stuff like
I was saying the same shit. I was saying the same thing.
And then it was like, we got to the finale and we were like, and we had a pretty frustrated podcast when we reviewed the finale.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah,
that.
but
just like dropping the ball at the end, you know.
Yeah.
I kind of understood your feeling. I'm like the most positive person I've ever met towards that episode. Even I think there were some parts of it that are like, okay, like, what are you doing? But I remember going to the cinema. I went to the cinema.
Wow.
That's sick.
With friends, right? It was amazing until that episode came out and no one said a word.
Yeah.
No one said a word on the trip back.
Oh, I'd be so curious.
It was a shame, especially because my friends aren't really Doctor Who fans. This is the first series that they've ever watched as it came out.
That's tough.
Right? And they were really liking it. And then Empire of Death came out. But I think they're still fans, so, can't complain that much.
Cool, yeah. Yeah, well, hopefully everyone will come back for season 2, and then we can get a season 3 renewed ASAP.
I'm sure we
will. We got to keep making videos, we can't keep...
Yeah, where will we be without them?
Talking about the past, we got to talk about the future a little bit sometimes.
Yeah.
It's so impressive, the amount of, subscribers and views you've gotten through, pretty much next to no, social media... advertising.
I think that's just the power of really community. Incredible. You know what I mean? Yeah. There is a I watch a lot of Doctor Who YouTube. I find people it's because I was I still am a small guy, but I was a real small guy. I know what it's like when you get someone who's bigger who comments on a video saying, "Go on, mate." So I'm always trying to cheer in everyone's corner. And what I notice is as I go around, there is other people who always are in everyone's comment section. And I think it was that kind of that small community that you then build into bigger communities. I mean, it's always great when you upload a video and you see the same familiar faces, in the comment section.
Oh, it's lovely. Yeah,
always commenting that. I think that's just kind of how I did it. I mean, it's like a promise. Every video is you make a promise that it's a worthwhile investment that they've subscribed to you. So that's how I see it.
I think I honestly this is before you commented on the YouTube video a couple of weeks ago, before any of this conversation of you coming on happened. I came back from the pub on a Wednesday night quite blitzed, and you just uploaded the flood video, and I loved it. I genuinely loved it. I was like, this is dope. I was like, this guy's great. I genuinely did really like it. It's so awesome to see. I think Who community, 90% of the creators are so great and talented, and I think we're slowly chipping our way through to have them on the show and talk to them, and
we're like bloody Thanos with his little gauntlet.
Yeah, we're getting all the stones, we're getting everybody.
What I love about the Doctor Who community on YouTube specifically is that it's a zero-sum game. Everyone can win, and everyone does better through other videos doing better. So say a Doctor Who video does well, that means everyone's views goes up because everyone's in the recommended. I mean, I remember a few months ago I uploaded a video on the 456, and then shortly after someone did a review on Torchwood Children of Earth, which they're both connected, and those videos got put in each other's recommended, and we both shot right up. And
that's awesome.
I mean, I just love stuff like that, because again, with that video on the flood, I obviously have a lot of these ideas just in my notes app, but I was most inspired to get that done because I saw a review video that had 1,000 views about the Waters of Mars. I'm like, this is a good episode. And then when I uploaded my video, that video went up as well. So everyone literally lifts each other up, because so there's kind of that tight-knit thing. It is. When you look at I don't know, a massive game like Pokemon or Minecraft or those ones which are unanimous, synonymous, whatever the word, right? There the competition is more steep, but here because everyone is on a kind of similar footing and it's a niche subject, everyone gets lifted up when one video does well, and I think that's just amazing.
That's a really sweet way of looking at it. I think. Yeah, I can kind of cringe myself sometimes about talking about community and stuff, but I think it's really nice. Like I said, I think 90% of the creators are just cool.
I think that's the difference between Twitter and YouTube, right?
Oh god, yeah.
Twitter is huge. I mean, the people there just everyone wants to hate on something, everyone got an agenda of some kind. It's either you can't just meet someone who's honest, Either they're a new era fan and all the other stuff is crap, or they're an old era fan and all the new stuff is crap, or whatever mix of both. And it's come on, guys, just be honest. Very, you know what I mean?
Us v them kind of stuff a lot of the time.
I think at least with a YouTube channel, I think you can very much tell what the creators' true intentions are with making.
I think it's more difficult to be dishonest with a YouTube channel.
Exactly, exactly right. I think you can generally see what a person's thoughts on it. It's are you making YouTube videos for rage bait, or is it actually because you love the show and want to talk about it?
And in the spirit of honesty, I think we need to be honest with dwfan91.
Oh God, not again.
No, another one.
Not again.
Another one. How many times has this happened to
no.
us, Connor?
I think like 5 or 6.
This is
maybe?
insane, isn't it?
God.
This is crazy.
No.
Every time we bring a guest onto the show, this bloody
God,
happens.
our mortality rate is bad.
I don't know how to. I'm just going to say it. All right, 91, our new friend, but you're dead.
No,
I'm sorry, but you've died.
Oh my gosh.
not again.
It's another one, mate. Another one.
Another one bites the dust.
That's
one
it,
bit
mate.
the dust.
It's just the curse. I don't think we can have guests on anymore, can we?
I'm
No.
dead.
How'd you die, 91?
I stepped on a landmine.
Oh my god, I
I
love
can't
it.
believe it.
Harry Sullivan, let's go.
That's so great. So did you just stepped on it, and then did you have 45 minutes with a
I was
companion to
like-
talk it through?
There was this like blind guy, I was like, don't worry, I'll get some help. I was just walking around. I didn't even know what fucking happened. I just, stepped on that shit and I'm gone.
I love
Beautiful.
it, mate. Just that's
Amazing.
great. So no remains, I guess.
No
if it's
remains.
the boom landmine.
Just atoms.
That's
That's
crazy. That's insane. Well, you're in luck, dwfan91,
Thank
because
Hey.
there is a heaven, a Doctor Who heaven.
All the greats are there.
All the greats are there. You've got Troy, you've got
Faris,
Faris, you got Crispy
Crispy,
Pro, you got
Josh.
Josh, and also technically us, because we turned the
You and
tables
I.
on
Is that
ourselves
it?
once.
Is that what we've?
I think that's it.
Is that it?
But there's about to be a lot more.
Nice.
It's like Lost. Everyone's
Yeah.
dead.
Lost, yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on what happens when you die?
I don't know. I have died. I was gonna say I haven't died, but I have. It was, it was surprisingly relaxing. Life was stressed
Yeah.
before. I can just chill with all the homies. It's like the ending of Forest of the Dead. River Song, when she meets everyone.
Yep.
I love it. Well, the people of Doctor Who heaven, there's two big gates behind me and Connor right now, the big pearly gates.
We're
And-
St. Christopher's, I think we like to call ourselves that.
Amen, sister.
Yeah.
And we are only allowed to let you. We're all going to judge your Doctor Who opinions, basically. And if they're good opinions, we'll let you
Let's
in.
go.
And if not, you'll go down to hell, mate, with the old beast.
Uh-oh.
Wouldn't want it
The
any other
beast.
way.
The
It's
beast in
crazy.
City.
So yeah, let's dive in. We got a little questionnaire here for you, and we'll determine if you're coming to the motherland.
Yeah, prepare yourself. This is big.
It's pretty intimidating.
It's pretty intimidating, yeah.
What was the first episode of Doctor Who you ever saw?
Well, this is a kind of interesting one because I've been watching Doctor Who since kind of before memories can be formed. But my first Doctor Who memory was watching the VHS for The Invasion, which is the
Right.
second Doctor story. This is kind of how I got into the show, was through the VHSs and then later
Wow.
DVDs. And
Crazy.
the modern show was kind of like a later thing as well. And my earliest memory specifically is the scene in episode 2 where the Doctor and Jamie, they're being tailed by a Sergeant Benton, who isn't actually a sergeant at that point, in a car to be taken to unit. And they sit on the curb and they play cards to try and, avoid suspicion. It's the earliest memory of Doctor Who that I have. And it's still one of my favorite episodes to this day. I think it's a 10 out of
Okay.
10 episode.
It's the episode that your dad always brings up to you as well.
Is it really?
Yeah,
What, with
Oh,
the
for real?
Cybermen in the underground?
that's right, isn't it? It's that
Yeah,
one,
in
right?
the sewers.
We've not seen that one.
Oh,
But
you're
Oh
kidding
my god,
me.
it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah.
It's,
we'll get there. We'll
Absolutely
get there.
insane.
Oh my god,
episode.
my famously my dad's favorite episode.
Yeah, it's like talking to your dad.
What a coincidence. Oh my god.
I am your
that.
father.
Crazy. Oh my god.
I love that. So, next question. What episode scared you the most? You were saying just before how you love to make videos about the nasty and the scary
Yeah,
in Doctor
and-
Who. So,
Do you get scared easily?
So I would say with horror films, it's interesting because I get jump scared easily, but I don't necessarily get scared easily. Whereas when I talk to other people, the jump scares don't get them, but they like have nightmares and stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when I play horror games or whatever, I get scared, but it's not like the ideas really stick with me. I think the thing is with Doctor Who, it's a bit strange because as a young child, the strangest things stick out and scare you, especially when you're like watching episodes completely out of order from far off decades. I remember the Cybermat from Revenge of the Cyberman scared me a lot. If you go back and watch it now, it's like impossible to get scared by that stuff. But I think it's kind of, Doctor Who is a show kind of generally aimed at a younger audience, which means that when you go back and look at it now, the stuff isn't really that scary. So for me, I've got to look at it through the mind of a child, through the eyes of a child, to find out what's really scary. I would not say I'm a person who's scared easily, but you can make me jump, you know what I mean? It's an interesting question, scares, because I imagine most people who grew up with the modern series, it would be like The Empty Child, or maybe if you want to get a bit more, what's the word, conceptual, it would be like Turn Left. Some of the ideas are really scary there. For me,
definitely, yeah.
Putting aside all of that, those childhood fears of Revenge of the Cybermen, or what's another one that scared me as a kid? Probably like the robots from Earthshock, in the first part of Earthshock, when they're going through that and they're just killing everyone. That was scary when I was a kid.
Yeah, they are spooky in the caves.
The thing, what I would say, this is a far out one. I would say 73 Yards. Conceptually,
Really? Yeah, sure.
Scares me the most out of every episode of Doctor Who. It's funny. I would not expect that an episode of a modern series, which I'm watching as an adult, would freak me out, but it genuinely did. I remember watching it for the first time. There was this underlying just dread, and then the more I thought about it, the more ideas at play. Like the idea that there's someone watching you all the time, and even if there's a wall,
of it,
you can feel it in your head, and if anyone goes to talk to them, they run away, and you don't have no idea what they said.
Crazy.
These concepts, and the more I think about it, the freakier it gets. And as someone who's made like 50 73 Yards videos, I was just farming that shit out, right? But it genuinely freaks me out. So I would say that the scariest episode of Doctor Who for me is 73 Yards.
Yeah, we absolutely loved that episode
amazing.
So much.
And really,
it's so great.
Underrated. I watched it earlier in the week, actually, and
I saw your last episode.
Amazing.
Yeah. I watched it like 2 weeks ago as well. It's so fucking good.
I think something really underrated about it is Murray's score. It's so unsettling and a little different for him.
Good.
It's so good. It's really good. It's
that
really
bit
good.
in the train where like they're going past.
It's so great. It's so good. I just love it so much.
The Unleashed of them filming that as well is just so cool. How they just had to like band on a train, and they had the train was stopping at the platform for 2 minutes, and they had to get like this whole crew
Amazing.
on. Like,
my
it's
God,
crazy,
incredible.
Crazy. Are you a crier?
Not really. No, I must confess.
If you were to be,
if I was,
do you have an episode that makes you cry the most?
Made me cry. I'll rephrase it to be which is the saddest episode. Because,
okay. Yeah.
I'm just kind of numb emotionally. The thing is with New Who is that I feel it's post series 1. I feel it gets a little bit juvenile with the soap opera aspects of it, not in a bad way at all, because that's just the show it is, you know what I mean? That's like getting angry at Cobra Kai for being like a soap opera. It's like, yeah, it's a cheesy soap opera from the 80s, that's what it's meant to be. It's not hiding that. Similarly, Doctor Who with like the 10th Doctor and Rose stuff, right? Like that is intentionally melodramatic. To say, oh, it's melodramatic so it's bad would be silly, but I don't necessarily find it so compelling that, say, when like Rose leaves in Doomsday, that I'd be in tears. For me, I like that episode. I think it's great, but I'm never going to cry at it. I'm never going to really feel anything for that. So for me, when I look back at what made me sad, I have to look back to the original series. And I think the episodes that really get me are the regenerations. I think the 2nd and 4th Doctor's regeneration specifically are the moments that really get me, in the feels, because there's a lot of really sad just ideas, the melancholy ideas. The 2nd Doctor, of course, both his companions completely get their memories wiped, and they forget about him completely. And he goes out into the void. It's so unjust, right? His trial, and he goes out in a way that looks really scary and painful. And the soundtrack and his screams are so haunting. And on a totally different note, the 4th Doctor's regeneration, where there's that montage of all his past enemies, you know, kind of cheering on his death, and then all his companions. It really shows how, for like a generation of children, that was just the Doctor, right? Like, he was there for so long. He was there for almost a decade. You've got to imagine that so many people just started watching the show there. They'd never heard of the show before, and they saw it through to the very end. He went through so much. These are the stuff that gets me in Doctor Who. And while I massively respect and actually really enjoy the kind of aspects of modern Doctor Who, there isn't really any moment in the revival that kind of gets me as much as those two. So that's what I have to say.
That's great.
Amazing answer.
I love getting different answers like that as well. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's good as well to hear some, like, because most people we have on as well, like maybe too familiar with the classic series. I know Snares was, obviously, but like, it's good to get some, like, just Doctor Who as a show, like, including classic era as well, like answers and replies to that as well.
Especially for us being, like, I'm watching it as the collection sets come out. So I've seen...
Oh, that's a great way to do it. I'm not even lying. That's a great way to do it.
It's really, it's like fun, like, not knowing what season you're going to watch next. Like, just whatever one they announce, and it just sort of fills in the blanks.
We just finished series 2 today.
It's like a jigsaw, because you just add in stuff.
Definitely. It does feel
And next is season 7, which is so good.
That is that what was sort of rumored because of that art?
Yeah, and then it was kind of just exposed accidentally. But
really?
I mean, it's a brilliant season. So
yeah, I'm keen.
Hope I didn't leak anything there.
It's got Inferno in it, hey? Everyone loves that one.
Yes. Oh, what a tremendous episode. I've just been writing a script actually that mentions that. Amazing episode. Amazing.
So that's Pertwee, another Pertwee set?
Pertwee's first season, I believe, yeah.
Amazing.
Yep.
Is that right? Yeah. Yeah.
And his fourth collection, because they've done 8, 9, and 10.
Right. So he's got one more left.
Is that Spearhead
Season 11
Space,
is the one I want the most as well.
No, really? That's how they get you.
Yeah, I know. I was fork up so much money for that one.
So there are a lot of bad episodes in Doctor Who. What episode would you say is regarded as terrible, but you actually love?
Kind of all of them. I mean, the thing is that I am a natural contrarian in that if an episode I view as an underdog, I'm more likely to treat it a little bit more nicely. And I do have a lot of unpopular opinions. I notably really like, the Jodie Whittaker era. I like Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor, which naturally means I'm in the sightlines of everyone daily. Right.
Yeah, that's why Twitter's so rough for you.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into any altercation on Twitter yet, luckily. And that's mostly because I will never say anything negative to anyone. I just refuse. But when it comes to episodes people view as terrible, but I really like, I mean, I could just answer the whole of the Jodie Whittaker era, the whole of the Rusty Davies 2 era. But instead, I'll give something a bit more interesting. And I'll give two answers. I'll give one from the original and one from the revival. I would say the episode which I like from the original series that no one likes is The Invasion of Time, the season 15 finale featuring the Sontarans invading Gallifrey. I love that story. I've got so many fond memories. I think it's absolutely amazing, even though it is terrible.
I watched that on the set and was like, you know, I get it. Like, it's got problems. It's definitely not like a GOAT episode. But I'd heard nothing but bad things about this serial, and I watched it going, it's all right.
Yeah,
like, it's always fun to go to Gallifrey in Classic Who. It's, the stuff's alike.
So much great stuff in there. And the Sontarans as well. When the Sontarans show up, oh my God. What a great moment.
Yeah, Connor, this will blow your mind, all right? Sontarans and Gallifrey.
To me, it sounds great. Okay? And I'm excited to visit it one day when we get there. It does sound that does sound quite cool to me.
Very enticing.
Actually,
there's a massive
honest.
Venus flytrap that eats a Sontaran as well. It's amazing.
Wow. Okay, this does sound.
So if you're
great.
into that kind of thing as well, then you are set for a good serial.
I think it sounds great. That actually sounds fun. I'm keen for that.
What was your New Who answer?
And for New Who. I would have to say Hellbent is the episode that I've always been in the corner of. And I remember, so I have a bunch of recordings that I never uploaded from like literally 10 years ago, going back to series 8 of like my initial reviews to episode. I just recorded them on my phone. They're like 2 minutes long. And I gave like ratings of every episode. And Hellbent, back then, I gave it the same I'd give now, which is like a 7.5 out of 10. And you probably remember, but people hated that episode. Oh my
was
god, it's like
huge.
it's strange because since then there's been like the Timeless Child, and then like insert Rusty Davies 2 episode here that's taken the
Yeah.
crown as worst episode ever.
Yeah.
But I remember
Yeah.
when Hellbent was considered like the worst thing of all time. And I've never really got. I mean, I've always thought it's really good. I do think though that people are coming around. People come around to the 12th Doctor era in general. And
Yeah.
so when people do, make posts, I saw one the other day where they were saying, Hellbent actually is terrible, I think people are more so starting to wake up and smell the coffee. You know what I mean?
We were kinder about it, I think, on our rewatch. I think we acknowledged it wasn't great, but
We didn't like it at the time, but
oh my
when
god,
we
I
did-
remember at the time. I mean, it was just after Heaven Sent. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I remember
People
at the
hated
time,
Series
just
9 in general at the time. I
oh my
remember
god,
that.
That's
it was
crazy to
so,
me.
It was like, it was like a nuke went off.
Yeah, but now, and I think I've rewatched it since we did the rewatch as well, and I think I like it the more I watch it. Like the plot is nonsense, but like, well, it's not even nonsense. It's just
there's not
a lot
the
of
plot
it.
for most Doctor Who stories is nonsense.
That's
you know what I
very
mean?
true.
Like, I
Very
think
true.
it's mostly just an excuse for cool things to happen and for characters to get emotional, right? Like,
Yeah.
the whole start is just Peter Capaldi being badass, right? And then Clara comes in and they're doing all of like how do I say this without it sounding bad, because I love it. They're like so desperate to tug on people's heartstrings. They're doing any maneuver possible, They're pulling out all of like the classic melodramatic tropes, like the memory wipe and the I have a duty of care, and like, oh my god, he was trapped in there for 10 billion years. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous. Yeah, it's a little bit hard to take seriously. If you just accept it on its terms, it's brilliant. It's a great ride, I think.
Yeah.
Obviously not
I
perfect,
like it.
but
It's
still
like,
great.
because Jenna stayed for like 3 series, so it was like, I think she overstayed her welcome a little bit, and like, it was like, she's finally leaving, and
Hard
then,
agree.
it's like, and like, because they show like the Matrix and stuff in it, don't they? Like,
They show everything. They do so
Yeah.
many niche
they show
references.
like the Matrix and stuff from the.
There's something going.
Yeah,
what do they go
like
down?
this-
They go to some blue place.
There's some cool stuff in there, sure. Like, I just think it was an interesting time
Yes.
to be sure.
And they also showed us a boom mic, which was the
Yes, that's a classic.
I love that. I love
The
that.
amount of times people complain about that on Twitter, it's like, get off your fucking
I
high
know.
horse. Like,
We all
shut
saw it,
up.
mate.
Like,
We all
God's
saw it.
sake, get out of here.
91. What
Yes.
episode?
91.
I feel like I'm talking to a stormtrooper.
91, is that you?
What episode did you used to love, but doesn't really hold up to you anymore?
It's strange. Actually, quite a few. Especially in the kind of early modern era. So what I watched, I never really liked the episode, but what I watched again and I was like, wow, this is kind of really bad, is the Cyberman 2-parter from Series 2, Rise of the Cyberman Age of Steel. Incredible names for episodes, but when you actually watch them, I mean, they're kind of so blatantly ripping off other stuff that they have to put it in the credits. Like, all of the good ideas are taken from everything else, and then all of like the boring stuff with like the rebel group and Ricky and all of that. I mean, maybe I was being too harsh because I had high expectations for it, but when I watched it, I couldn't take any of it seriously. And I remember that when that Cyberman redesign was unveiled, the Cybersman, I remember myself and like a lot of other people being like, whoa, these guys look lame as hell. And I feel like that's kind of always stuck. They look goofy and plasticky and like their heads are kind of off center, which is fine when it's like the 80s, right? Because I can sit and make fun of it. But when it's like genuinely trying to be taken seriously, and they've got like, you know what I mean? It just didn't work for me. That
Speed
story.
agree.
Another one would be skipping ahead to Series 9, actually, really late on. The Zygon 2-parter, which I really liked when I first watched, because, speech epic, incredible moment. I went back and rewatched it, and it's like, what is this episode talking about? You know what I mean? It's just one of those things where when you get a bit more perspective and you look back on it, you're like, whoa, this was written by someone who wrote Kill the Moon, and you can definitely tell. There's like a lot of very odd metaphors going on in that story, I think. I still will say the speech at the very end is very good. By the way, when I talk down on episodes, I think it's important to say that I like every Doctor Who episode in a way, even if I like dunk on it massively and say it's complete crap. If you put a gun to my head and says like, would you rather watch this or like Big Bang Theory? It's like, well, yeah, I'm taking the Doctor Who, the worst episode of Doctor Who. I'm still taking it over most like other television shows. But yeah, I would probably say that those two are ones which I like. Kind of liked, and then when I rewatched, I just really didn't.
Yeah, awesome. That's fair.
Yeah, I second both of those. I think.
Yeah, the Cybermen one. I think with the Cybermen as well. When we were kids watching it, it was like crazy. Like the Cybermen,
was the most coolest shit ever.
They were so cool.
I loved that as a kid so much.
When you are older, looking back, it is like a weird design. Like it's so bulky, and I think when you're a kid and it's that big and bulky, it is kind of intimidating. But yeah,
I always found that bit weird. In was it Army of Ghosts when there's the Cyberman at the top of the stairs? You know, the kid runs up. I found that so funny always. I mean, they just look. They look so unintimidating to me. I mean, whereas it doesn't. I'm sure you've seen the clip of Ncuti Gatwa and Millie Gibson reacting to it, and they just can't hold back the laughter. It's that thing where it's like choose between the Dalek and the Cybermen. They show a clip of both, and they're like, Dalek, these Cybermen are terrible. Right? Yeah, and it's just a shame. I think Cybermen fans deserve better. They're always getting shafted, man. They can never win.
Yeah. Are you a fan of the Chibnall redesign?
Oh yeah, I think that's a great redesign. It's very in line with the Invasion. I mean the thing.
Yeah, the spikes.
So are you talking about the Cyber Warriors or the Cyber Masters? Because there's a little bit.
So I was I was talking about the ones that were introduced in Ascension, and then it's Timeless Child. They do the Cyber Masters.
I think Shad's design is incredible. I think the Cyber Warriors are really cool, and they're shot very well to kind of. The problems with the design, if I've got a nitpick, are probably the really spiky edgelord Diablo things or whatever. But the way that they're shot, kind of like de-emphasizes that and makes the emphasis more on like their cold face and their chest plate area.
Yeah, the face is awesome.
It looks really cool. There's a lot of really cool shots. In fact, probably one of my biggest problems with that episode is that they're still using the Cybus designs. I mean, just let them go.
Why are they there?
I mean, whereas I kind of understood it in the Dr. Fools, which, I mean, that's showing the evolution of the Cybermen. So naturally, they've got to be in there and they've got like no screen time. But like here, it has literally been almost like 20 years. Like let them go. Yeah. Let them go. They're not that cool.
They just had the costumes. It's like, okay.
I genuinely think that's it. And
saves us making new ones.
With the Cyber Masters, I think the idea of them being able to regenerate is so cool that I'm able to look past like the smiles, or the upside down smiles. Which I would say is probably the only problem with design. I like the robe. I like the silhouette. And I think the regeneration effect is actually really cool. And I think turning Time Lords into Cybermen, it's something that's been done in the comics before. It was a really cool thing to do. I still think that there's a story there that could be told about the gap between Missy and the Spy Master. Talking about how I always assume, this is my headcanon, that after regenerating, initially he did actually try to be good, but then was burned when he found out about the Timeless Child, which it would still be cooler if the Master was the Timeless Child, but I don't hold a grudge. But I think that there would be a really interesting story to see like how he destroyed Gallifrey. A lot of people were like, the Master couldn't destroy Gallifrey. He definitely could, right? Like the power scaling wise, he basically brings Gallifrey to its knees in the Deadly Assassin, right? Like he could definitely destroy the planet very easily. But I would love to see that story, maybe in like a 1 hour TV special, right? That would be awesome, I think.
Big Finish, it's in your hands.
Big Finish, yeah.
Big Finish. Nah, they let me down, man. Big Finish. I love Big Finish, but recently, man, I don't know.
Yeah,
too many strandeds for me.
Yeah,
Stranded 6,
it would be interesting to see because we see the Time Lord Cybermen in like Power of the Doctor on the train scene, and like I'd be interested to see when we see the Cybermen again in Ncuti Zero, like if they'll bring any of that whole lore now that there are Time Lord Cybermen, or they're just gonna.
I think they were destroyed in Power of the Doctor. No, I think they were defeated.
The amount of time,
the planet was destroyed.
So yeah, it was.
The amount of time, like there's just a massive explosion, and Daleks and Cybermen and Sontarans all get destroyed on the Chibnall era.
That was
and then
crazy.
Always one ship survives.
At the very end of Flux, when they're like reusing shots and shit to have like the Daleks ship.
It was a great time.
It's crazy.
What episode means the most to you? Not because the episode itself, but because of the memories that are associated with it.
This is a very difficult question. Now, the easy option for me would be to point to any of the Dalek stories in the classic era, because I just watched them over and over and over again. And I've got really strong memories associated with all of those stories, because they were always my favorite. But I'm actually going to throw a spanner in the works and go with the revival story and pick Dalek. I'm going to go with Dalek, because I genuinely think it's the best episode of the revival, and I think that there are so many moments in it that are so compelling and rewarding for fans of the show, especially Dalek fans, which I am. I'm a massive Dalek fan. Arguably, I'm a bigger Dalek fan than a Doctor Who fan. But I think that story is... I mean, it's so good. I think it actually... This is a bold claim. I think it's so good that it justifies the existence of the whole revival. Just for that one story.
Fair.
I think it's that good. Right,
yeah.
And it sets the tone for like the whole series for the next 4 series. It's so gritty and grounded and real and raw and honest, and they're playing around with so many awesome concepts. Yeah, Dalek is my final answer.
Terry Nation fan in the house, you know.
I am.
We love it, mate. We love it. Do you have an episode that has the best ending?
Oh, this is really difficult.
That's a hard one. That is really hard.
It's crazy.
So I'm a sucker for cliffhangers, which means that the thing is that all of the best classic Who endings are all either regenerations or like cliffhangers to the next story. So I would probably say, but I've already said this before, it's either the second or the fourth Doctor's regenerations, but because I've already said that, I'll put that aside and come up with a new answer. And I will probably say that it's the cliffhanger to Army of Ghosts, what I would say is like the most hype, awesome thing of all time. You've got a Cyberman episode. Army of Ghosts is like just like a master class even. It's like masterfully put together, incredible, building all the tension, and just as a Cyberman, just as soon as you think they've won, you hear the Dalek theme, and then you just realize that next week it's going to be Daleks versus Cybermen, which was like my dream for like forever.
Crazy
and ever and ever.
Yeah.
I think that is the best ending to any Doctor Who episode ever, and I don't know if they're ever going to be able to beat it. It's so good.
Wait,
massive.
So were you similar to us? Were you watching all this stuff live in the UK, like as it was airing?
I started watching live in like the late David Tennant era. I was catching up because I didn't have channels for a long time.
Right.
And it is weird because so I watched live Series 5 as it came out. That was the first series I watched in its entirety as it came out. But then I didn't watch Series 6 as it came out. I only watched a few episodes and then I caught the rest later. And actually what I had to do for most of it, this sounds so scuffed, is I had to go to my friend's house who recorded it, right, as it came out, and then we'd burn it onto discs, because back then that's what you had to do, right? Yeah. And so before certain episodes came out on DVD, which they used to release quite fast, actually, afterwards on DVD.
They did, yeah.
Yeah, like they did like the volumes and stuff.
Yeah, that was it, the volumes.
The volumes, yeah. Those are the tapes.
I had like a few episodes. So we had like Planet of the Dead on like a burned DVD, right? That was a fun episode. So that's kind of how I watched it.
Yeah,
which was I only started watching live around 2009, 2010.
Right. Okay.
That's wild.
Yeah.
That's wild. So before that, I'm trying to piece together the timeline here. So, because like the invasion and that being your first memory, did you?
So that was on VHS.
Yeah. So did you watched that. You watched that before Series 5. So
Oh yeah, I watched that way before. I watched
Yeah.
that a long time ago. So the way I got into Doctor Who was my brother was a massive fan, and he's older than me. So he would be watching all the time. And so even when I was like a baby, I was watching, and he was really into it because his friend was into it, and his friend was even older than him, and his friend had all the VHSs, and he lent them down to all of us, right? And that's kind of how we watched a lot of Doctor Who, because he had a lot of VHSs, and then later DVDs came in, and
awesome.
then we somehow or other, I'm too young to really remember like how we got like all of those VHSs, but we just ended up like watching a lot of them. It was just kind of like in our culture. I remember I went to my grandparents' house when I was like 3, and they had like, you know, those really old like little tellies. They had one in the top corner of their room, and they were playing
Right,
An
yeah.
Unearthly Child on VHS. So like I would just be watching a lot of it, and I kind of don't even remember like what years that would have been, you know, like 2000s, right? And then when the show came out, it was just sort of coming out, and we got the DVDs when we got them, we would watch them, and I obviously talked about it with people at the time as well. So it's kind of weird, you know, trying to
That's
remember what exactly happened, because I was younger.
yeah,
It's so nice hearing everyone's story, because
I was
everyone
about to
has a
say that.
story that's like unique and
We're basic.
Like, it's
Did you watch
We
it when
started
it
with
came out as well?
Rose.
well, yeah. We immigrated to Australia like separately. I think similar ages. So I watched
Yeah.
series 1 and 2 when it aired, and then 3 onwards, either my nan or my auntie would send me DVDs, and your nan would send you DVDs
Yeah,
as well.
I moved over between season 1 and 2, and then
Yeah.
sort of back to your Army of Ghosts answer.
This is
Notoriously on the
hilarious,
pod, I said my nana sent me over like the video that she'd recorded. So like 3 or 4 episodes would come out. She'd fill up a tape and she'd send the tape over for me, because it wasn't coming out in Australia for like a year or something.
Oh my
That
God,
is tragic,
ages.
man. That is
Ages.
It was
tragic.
crazy. So she sent me over the videos, and that one video ended with Army of Ghosts, and I was just sat there like, what?
Oh my
Like,
god.
So I had to
Oh
sit
the
on
my
biggest,
that
the
cliffhanger
biggest
for,
cliffhanger in
for
history.
like a month
you know?
until it came over.
Incredible.
Man, post still takes like a month to come over from the
Yeah,
UK.
it was
strange.
such a, it's so crazy to think about it now. I mean, but I remember like the early days of like YouTube. I've said this on the pod before. Like people would upload, like people would just rip from like iPlayer and upload the episodes, but you were just relying on people doing it, and
Yeah.
it was so like, we are so lucky now. I know we complain about like everything, but like the idea
Everything.
now that you can just go to like Disney Plus and
Yeah.
watch the episodes if you want to is
So
crazy,
convenient.
because it just was not. I would get sent like the volumes and just so
Crazy.
fun. Like, and you knew everything about the series by then because it had been out for months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd read about
Yeah.
it and
I
then
didn't know. I
finally get
avoided
to
everything
watch it.
because the internet
like,
wasn't really around.
yeah, different
Did you
times.
guys get the Battles in Time trading cards? That's how I found
Yes.
out about a lot
My
of
nana
this stuff.
sent some over, but
think
I
we have
didn't.
some over there as well, don't we?
I
Remember
found
Vinny
so
sent
many
us?
in the garage on the
Vinny
weekend.
sent us
This
some?
is
Oh my
a story
God.
for another time.
I'm
but
sorry, I thought
found
it was your question.
loads.
That's why I was waiting for
No,
you.
you're up.
We're on which episode had the best opening? Sorry.
Ooh, best opening. This is really difficult.
We're here for the hard questions, mate.
Yeah, very, very difficult question. I think the best opening of all time has to be the Dalek invasion of Earth, which is
Let's go.
it's a kind of cold open in a way, where a Roboman, who you don't know is a Roboman because the story's just died, stumbles over, tears off his helmet, and then drowns himself in the river. And
Crazy.
it's such a kind of morbid start to a story, but it sets the tone completely, and it instantly establishes, oh, this is, you know, apocalyptic future, which is very difficult to do on a very low budget. And of course that sign as well, it is forbidden to dump bodies in the water. I mean, it's just such a powerful story. You know what I mean? Like, it is just so goddamn good. I would say that is the one that I think hits me the most. There are a lot of very good openings to a story. There are great openings and a lot of great endings, but I would say that one is my choice.
It's bloody iconic.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, we just did it, didn't we? We just
Yeah.
reviewed it the other day. Yeah.
So iconic, mate. Do you have an episode that sort of relates to you? Maybe there's a theme, a character and you go, hey, that's me?
I kind of don't really consume media in that way. I don't really relate to... I don't know. I don't really relate to many characters in general. I can't really think of any characters that I relate to off the top of my head. There's lots of characters I really connect with, but usually they're very different from me. An example of a character I really connected with recently, who I didn't really relate to, was probably Cassian Andor from Andor. Love that character, but he's not like me at all. Probably the closest character to who I am, right? At least when the film came out, would probably be Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse, I would say.
Yeah, right. Go character.
He's quite a bit younger than me, I feel. I don't actually even know his age in the film anymore.
No idea.
Because
school.
There was such a long gap. Well, no, because didn't he graduate at the end of the last film? I don't remember.
That's probably true, yeah.
But either way, like the struggles that he was going with, it's like, damn, I have been there. When there's that scene where he's in that class and everyone is like super smart and on the ball and he's got like no idea what he's doing. Like, man, that was like me in school. I don't know. So I would say that's an example of a character I really relate to. In Doctor Who, there is actually no character who I relate to.
I love it. No, I'm taking Miles Morales. I think that's great.
That's a great...
No one else is going to answer
I'll
that
just
in
say
our
Miles
Doctor Who
Morales.
podcast.
His answers are great.
There's no episode which I really relate to. There's a bunch of episodes which I really enjoy, kind of because of like distant memories of like going to English small towns, and you see stuff like that. Like in the John Pertwee era, there's a lot of stuff that takes place in kind of like Dorset. I've been to Dorset. I really liked it. It's not really relatable though, you know. It's just a place which I recognize. But yeah, I'll say Miles Morales. Final answer.
I love it.
Beautiful
Taking
answer.
it.
This is a great question as well. So which episode do you think objectively is the greatest episode ever? I'd love to hear your opinion on this.
I think it's the Daleks.
GOAT,
I think it's the Daleks Master Plan. The Daleks Master Plan is 12 episodes long, so it's 12 parts. It has a Christmas special in between. It features not just the first, but also the second companion death. It has the Daleks, but it also has the monk, who is a Time Lord. So it has multiple connections to the past. We go basically everywhere throughout all of time and space. We go to the far future, we go to alien planets, we go to the past, we go to ancient Egypt, right? It is probably like the most grounded, but also, you know, science fiction of the like 60s Dalek stories, because either they would go like really morbid, like Dalek Invasion of Earth, but it's all set on Earth, or they would go kind of comedy, like The Chase, but that's all set in space. Here it's like a blend of both, whilst having super high stakes. It's got Nicholas Courtney in it, who would later go on to play the Brigadier. It's just got so much history. It's got so much content. The only problem is that it's like all missing, apart from 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's crazy. It's crazy.
The audiobook is incredible, though. I would highly recommend getting that if it's in your local library or whatever, if people still get audiobooks from libraries.
I never knew the monk came back. So that's...
Yeah,
is that what we're going to...
We're about to... We're
gonna
recording
say-
for our listeners to give an understanding of how far in advance we're recording this
literally just
podcast.
watched that today.
We're about to record our review for the Time Meddler after we finish recording this
Oh.
episode.
Oh my god!
So,
I was like, I
yeah.
get that reference.
Yeah, the monk.
which I never normally
know that
would. Wow, that's incredible.
Rolling
So what series is that?
That's in
Series
season
three?
3. Yeah.
Okay.
And, there's a whole episode called Mission to the Unknown, which you probably heard of because there was like a remake of it. And it's a one-parter, and it's basically a whole prelude prologue to that story taking place
Yes, I
on
have heard
Kemble.
about that. Yeah.
And it's like the first ever Dr. Light story. It's so good. Dalek's Master Plan kind of builds off that, and also it builds off like the comic storylines at the time as well. So like it all comes together to
Bloody Endgame,
create
innit?
this just
amazing.
masterpiece of an episode. And it's so brutal as well. I mean, the companions that die, they die in such sad ways, right? And poor Stephen as well. Stephen is the first Doctor's companion in this story, and he has to go through kind of so much because actually the Doctor does quite a lot as well, but they're separated for a lot of it. And it's just so good. It's just so goddamn good.
Crazy. I love it. Which episode have you watched the most? I assume you said you watched a lot of Dalek stories on repeat.
Yeah, it's basically it would be a tie for all of them. Probably Resurrection of the Daleks might be my most watched ever. Maybe Genesis of the Daleks, maybe Planet of the Daleks. There was a special VHS which had Frontier in Space and Planet of the Daleks on it, and those stories are connected. And I would kind of just watch it on repeat again and again and again, because in between there was a special documentary which I couldn't find anywhere else. I know I'm such a nerd, but it was like a special type of documentary which I didn't know where else it was. I still don't know where it was, and I just kind of kept watching that again and again and again, because it's a great kind of double act, because the stories are so different but they're also tied together in the story. So I would probably say Frontier in Space, Planet of the Daleks, or Resurrection of the Daleks are my most watched stories ever.
Bloody love it. Big Dalek fan here.
Yeah,
Big Dalek fan.
So I know you're you do seem very positive, and you were saying before how you never really like hate a lot of episodes, but what episode would you say is objectively the worst episode of Doctor Who of all time?
So there is a difference between objectively worst and least favourite. I think the objectively worst episode of Doctor Who ever is, as much as it pains to say as much as it pains me to say, as a 13th Doctor fan, it's Legend of the Sea Devils. Legend of the Sea Devils is the worst made episode of Doctor Who. It's the only episode of Doctor Who where if I was a commissioner at the BBC and they put that episode down in front of me, I would say, you cannot air that. I will not allow it. That's the only episode of the show where I would do that. Every other one, I'm like, well, I'll be happy to get it out. I'd rather this than nothing. I think I would have rather nothing. Because the sad truth is that it only exists to give ammo to haters of that era, because it's everything that people who hate the era say the era is.
Yeah, exactly right.
It's poorly made, it's poorly scripted, it's poorly directed, special effects are crap. And the episode just isn't finished. It's like 20 minutes under time as well.
Yeah, it's very short. It was because all the specials were like an hour, and this one was like 40
minutes. Yeah, it's
like so strange.
Bad. It's so bad.
Strange loading it up on like Easter and being like, what? What's
I
going on
remember
here?
going in with such high hopes. I went because I didn't see any of the marketing, but I remember the trailer at the end of Eve of the Daleks, and I'm like a biggest Sea Devil fan in the whole fucking world. So I was like, oh my god, they're back! Yes, they're finally back. And then I watched it, my face fell in like the first minute, like where you can just instantly tell, oh my god, this is like not done. It's like the lighting is all off, the green screen is terrible, the editing is bad. Like the bit where like her earring goes, it's like, what is going on? Like everything is just wrong. And it's a shame too, because people think that's what like the whole era is like, and if you watch any other episode, you're like, okay, well it's not as incompetent as this, right? Like they do a lot of really good stuff in it, but I wouldn't say it's my least favorite episode. I would say it's my second least favorite episode. My least favorite episode is Kill the Moon, sadly, which is an episode that I find insufferable. It's not as incompetent as Legend of the Sea Devils. It's not an episode where if I was a commissioner, I'd say, no, you can't air that out. You've got to air nothing else. It's like, well, no, it's better than nothing. But god damn, does it suck. I would say that it's just an episode which is so ham-fisted in everything it's trying to do that they should have just scrapped it and done something completely different. It's well shot, it's well directed. Peter Capaldi and Jenna Coleman give great performances. That's all I can say.
That
the supporting cast
so
suck. I don't think that final scene is great. I must admit, I think the supporting cast sucks. I think the writing throughout is awful. I think it's. I know people like to say. I know people like to say, bad writing all the time. It's like a kind of catch-all criticism. You can say it whenever. I think Kill the Moon. What's the line? Women of Earth, it's your choice. Fuck off, man. Oh my god. Like it's the most cringe-inducing episode of all time. I hate what it stands for. I hate what it says. I hate the idea that the Doctor would just fuck off at the end. And it goes against everything the whole rest of Series 8 is trying to say. And then Clara, right, that scene, okay, maybe in isolation, but in the context of the series, it makes no sense because she keeps saying, oh, I'm going to leave, oh, I'm going to leave, oh, I'm going to leave, and then keeps not leaving. And also, if you've got a character assassinate the Doctor, who would never leave, even if you could say, oh, he might leave Clara, he would never leave a child, right? He wouldn't leave the kid, right? Which again is it's a problem with Series 7 and 8, is that they keep trying to make child characters happen. They're never going to happen. And also, the Doctor keeps leaving these child characters in immense danger, which he would never do, right? And then the reason he gives is such bullshit that it's impossible to root for him. But also Clara's being annoying in a way where it's impossible to root for her. So it's okay, so my two main characters are just yelling at each other and I don't like any of them. What is going on, right? I think Series 8 overall is actually a pretty good series. And I think it's shocking that this episode can come right before an amazing episode that is Mummy on the Orient Express and then Flatlines, right? And it's so how can they exist in the same series as Kill the Moon? I think it In the Forest of the Night is probably a worse episode than Kill the Moon, but at least it's not offensive, it's just a bit of fun. And it's not really well made, but everyone had fun making it, and it's the Doctor being a hero to the children and all of that, right? Kill the Moon, I mean, it's just bad, man. I hate that episode. So that's my least favorite episode of all time.
Fair. Yeah, it's an episode. It's a bloody episode.
Character.
Do you have an episode that you laugh at a lot? What's the funniest episode Doctor Who of all time?
The funniest episode of Doctor Who of all time is The Chase. It's a comedy that no one thinks is a comedy. It is bloody brilliant.
It's so funny.
Dracula picks up a Dalek and then
my God.
throws him back on the ground.
Who would have thought?
Turns out he's the Five Nights at Freddy's animatronic as well.
Wow,
I mean, it's
good.
just so good. And I love it. I think that's the funniest episode of the show for me. And I do think Doctor Who, when it does comedy, it gets a bit of a bad rap. Every time Doctor Who tries to do comedy, everyone yells at it. Sometimes it can be funny, man. Just let it be.
I like it when it's funny.
People do not like Space Babies.
No,
we love Space Babies.
we're Space Babies stands. We kind of support that shit. We everyone hated it.
I'm a Weird Space premiere, but defender.
Yeah, weird premiere to be sure, but yeah. Oh God.
How good. Anyways. So, 91.
Yes.
91.
You know me and Connor. We've always got a coffin on us. We're always carrying a coffin around. That's what we do.
Yeah,
so when we heard that there was some landmines on Kastavan 3, that's the planet, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
We hopped over there. We said, let's just see who we can rummage up together, right? So we're just looking around. There was an arm here, a leg there. We're throwing them into the coffin. And then we find the landmine that you stood on. Obviously, there's no remains. We just picked up the landmine and put that in there.
Yeah.
But then there was the little capsule, right? They got the little
they get the little
thing.
Yeah.
So we put that in, and by the time we've got all that stuff into your coffin, there's no room for anything else. It's tight in there.
No.
But there's room for one tiny thing that we can just slide in under the lid. Okay. And this is in a world where you can only have one episode of Doctor Who on a DVD, right?
It's the rules.
It's the rules.
We don't make them, we just follow them.
So if we were to slide in one DVD into that coffin that you could take to the people of heaven to convince to them how good Doctor Who is, to show them your love for Doctor Who, what would that episode be?
I think I'm going to have to go with Sleep No More. No, I'm just kidding.
Straight to hell.
It's a really difficult question because Doctor Who doesn't really have a defining episode. You could take it to, you could say, oh, I love Heaven Sent, I'll take Heaven Sent. That doesn't do a good job of showing what the show's about. You know what I mean? And similarly, 73 Yards, which is, I was thinking, would 73 Yards be the episode that I want to rewatch again and again forever? It's like an almost infinitely rewatchable episode because you'll find new hints and clues every time. But no, I think I will go and be boring and pick my previous choice, which is Dalek. Given, of course, that I can't watch Dalek's Master Plan on DVD because it is not on DVD. But I'll pick Dalek as the episode I can watch forever and ever.
We'll slide in the CD of Master Plan as well for you as a little
Oh,
treat.
let's go. The audiobook as a half
I
price.
love it.
We did it. Wow.
All right, 91. It has been a bloody pleasure
Do
having
we
you
get
on
to
here.
say if we let
Oh,
them in or not? Isn't that the
Oh,
whole,
true. We got
yeah.
suspense, don't we? Yeah.
So
Oh.
do we do it? Do we do it?
I think we let 91 in.
I'm gonna agree.
Yay!
I'm gonna agree. Welcome in. Welcome to the gates.
gates are open.
The gates are open.
Look, there's Troy.
And Farry's.
There's-
And
I see
There's
all of
Crispy.
them.
And
And you were there.
and
And,
us.
you were there.
And, yeah, that is crazy. What
We're all
fun times
there.
we had. I just picture us like running on
Yeah.
clouds.
We're all just
Right?
having fun, you know. All the
And-
Hootubers.
Yeah, I
To
love
all
it.
the audience
it.
out there, if you don't see me uploading, it's because I'm in heaven. I'm dead.
That's where you are.
In Doctor Who heaven, are you still just the icon?
I am.
Just
Yeah, we'll
floating.
floating
never know.
around.
We'll never know. We'll never know what they really look like. Never.
I love it. Yeah, thank you so much.
That was
for
amazing.
Oh,
joining
thank
that
you
us.
so
was
much
awesome.
for having me.
Of
was
course.
incredible.
Yeah, seriously, amazing answers. They were great.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on YouTube at dwfan91. You can find me on Twitter, even though I don't post, at dwfan91. And if you search up Doctor Who video, you will probably find one of my videos, so you can just do that. Thank you so much
Beautiful.
for having me on the pod.
Thank
No
you.
there-
worries. Thank you so much for coming on.
Any last questions just before I head out?
Well, I think before you head out, we got to give the people what they want, right?
What would that be?
I think we got to do a face reveal, right?
Oh, do we
Face
actually
reveal,
get it?
face
We've
reveal.
got to do a face reveal. Does that sound good
Would
to
you actually do that for us?
91?
Yeah.
He's gone. Where's he gone? Hey, 91.
Did we get gypped?